So today I have the lovely Jenna of Body Positive Fitness to hear just about your journey and your progression to where you are. Because I was snooping on your Instagram page, and you have quite the background in the fitness industry. So vastly different than what you're providing for people now. It's very exciting because my personal bit about coming back to fitness when I was healing my disordered relationship with my body and my food was that it was so triggering. So I was really left on my own to do a lot of stuff, which wasn't always safe and wasn't always effective necessarily. And so it's such a relief to find people like you who are making this accessible, making it pleasurable again, and making it not about hurting your body or trying to manipulate your body or any of those things, but really to celebrate. So with that very nondescript introduction, I would just love for you to tell us your story and how you landed here.
Yeah. Well, it's a long story. Like you said, it's wild whenever I'm asked to talk about where it started. I'm like, suddenly I feel very old because it started a long time ago. I started working in the gym industry when I was like 13 years old. At a very young age, my uncle owned a couple gyms. So it was like, that job that family members can provide to teenagers. And I was folding towels and cleaning mirrors and doing all the grunt work at a gym. And then that moved to reception at a gym. And then as soon as I was 18, I went and I got certified as a personal trainer. I've been literally in the gym industry my whole adult life, even before that. So disordered thoughts about my body and fitness and what fitness was and what it meant started very young because I was just surrounded by gym culture. And long story short, that went on for many, many years. It turned into an eating and exercise disorder. I was absolutely obsessed with what I looked like and how I trained and what I ate. And that was my life till about 5 years ago. And then I started to realize that this was not normal or okay. And I was sick. But my behaviors are so normalized in the fitness industry that I never saw it like that before. So yeah, once I started to heal my relationship with what being a fit body meant or what being an okay body meant, it shifted everything about the way I see myself, the way I see my clients, the way I see the world. And that's when body positive fitness started to come around.
Beautiful. Yeah. I that normalization of those behaviors is something that, like, as a naturopath too, I mean, the disordered eating that is so normalized it's shocking and sad. I see that in the fitness industry too.
Oh yeah. And like a big part of my life, like I would say my diet was more supplements than it was food.
Mhm.
And that is so normalized too in the fitness industry where you're taking powders and pills, and you can go into a supplement store when you're 14 and they'll sell you anything, right? And you see all these like commercials. And back when I started in the fitness industry, there was no social media. It was all magazines, it was the fitness magazines with all the ripped bodies selling all these products. And I was just like all over that. And like, God knows what's in that stuff.
Yes, thankfully there are a few more regulations now than there were then, but it can be
Yeah.
sketchy. Yeah.
Definitely.
So what was driving you to that place? Like, what was the motivator for you?
As a kid and a young teen, it's like I wanted to be pretty. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be popular. And I thought that achieving this certain look would like get me there. You have to understand I was so young when that started. So like you're looking for like the attention of boys in class at that age, right? As when I was a personal trainer, so 18 to say 26, it was more about my career I thought that if I had this perfect body and this look, that I would be a more successful personal trainer. So then it shifted to more of like, I can make more money if I look this way. More people will want me for business if I look this way. So it definitely changed as I got older what the reason behind it was, but the underlying thing is always attention from other people in
Yeah.
one way or the next.
And that acceptance from other people, right?
Yeah, yeah, and when you're a personal trainer and you're working in downtown Toronto with a bunch of other personal trainers, you wanna be like them. You're not the only one doing this, right? Everybody is obsessed with what they look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I know in my career, I've seen many trainers come into my office, and
Yeah,
the level of disordered behaviors around food and fitness were, I mean, it was tough. And it was very much that, like, people can't find out, trying to hold up the image. And I relate to that too, because I definitely went through that in my own career of trying to look the part to be the naturopath that people would actually want to take advice from. Right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's so weird and cringeworthy. Like I really say it's kind of like coming out of a cult now that I'm on this side of it and I look in at like what goes on in a gym in the staff room where it's just like powders and salads and pills and pre-workout and post-workout, and it's just so normal in that world to to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what is it that made you leave? Like, what said, enough, Jenna, we're not doing this anymore? And body positive fitness was the result, but how did that happen?
It was a long process, like many years of like little things. It wasn't like I woke up one day and I was like, oh, this is weird. Why am I doing this to myself? Um, to take it back a little bit, I wanted to be a top fitness model. Like that was my goal. I was going to be in the magazines. I was going to be on stage. Like that was my biggest goal. And I was so lean that, of course, I had no boobs. So I went and I got breast implants. All the top fitness models had breast implants. I should get breast implants. So I did that. I was like 23. And then after I had the implants, and that's a whole other story, how they affected my body, I was constantly injured. I was tired. I was in pain. I never felt good. Therefore, I couldn't work out the way I used to. So I started to put on weight naturally, as you would. And I just fought that and fought that and fought that for so many years. And I was getting tired of like being in this constant battle with myself. And so slowly I started to like almost like disassociate from the gym people and make friends elsewhere. I had only known gym culture for so long. And like that's where all my friends were from as well. So I just started to step further and further away from that. And then I would say, if I could think of one turning point, it is when Instagram became a thing and I came across body positive accounts and I saw people that had a story like mine and they were talking about it. And I was like, oh, like I don't have to fight myself forever. And seeing their transformations and how they healed their relationship, and then buying books and reading about it and learning about health at every size, and just slowly like unraveling all this stuff that I had been taught for so long.
There's so much unlearning in this journey, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more unlearning than it is learning. It's just
100%.
letting all that garbage go that you were so wrapped up in that you couldn't see outside of it,
Yeah.
to just finally be able to see the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then body positive fitness was born. And
Yeah.
how did that start?
So I gained about 70 pounds, I would say, in like healing my relationship with my body and food and exercise and all of that. And I started to feel uncomfortable in the gym that I worked at. And like I had worked at the same gym with the same people for like 10 years. And I started to feel uncomfortable around them because I was changing and they didn't understand it. To them, it was like I was giving up. And it was kind of this thought that like, if I feel uncomfortable in a gym and I've been working in a gym since I was a kid, how does somebody feel coming into a gym who's literally never been to the gym and who are bigger than me and don't have the experience? If I'm feeling this much shame and discomfort in this space, I'm sure everybody else is as well. So my initial plan was to take fitness out of the gym, to show people that you don't need a gym and you don't need all this equipment to move your body in a healthy way. And you don't need to be measured and you don't need to be weighed and you don't need to tell me your goals. You don't even have to have any goals, to just show people what joyful movement was. Like, you can do this without all that other stuff. So I started renting spaces out of like art spaces, theater spaces, libraries, things that were not gym like. And that's when I started the BOPO Move class, which is body positive movement. And people were coming and people were thrilled. And this is one of the biggest cities in the world, and there isn't this. So it just like screamed like, oh, wow, like people need this. So and then it just grew from there. And then it was a yoga class and a Zumba class. And I was taking on other instructors that had the same mindset as me. And we did that for about 2 years before the pandemic hit. And then once we went virtual, it was like full circle, because it was like, now you can't be in a gym.
Right. Yeah.
I've already showed you all that you don't need a gym. Now you can't be in a gym. So being able to go virtual really like opened it up literally to the world. And then that just showed me again how many people were like so thankful because they don't have something like that in their town and they haven't heard of it, or they knew about it, but it was in Toronto and they're in the States. So when we went virtual, it worked out well for us.
Yeah, I have to say the accessibility that COVID has brought, not that I would wish COVID to come again in any way, shape, or form, but silver lining of it is,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of stuff that was just outside of our reach is suddenly available in our homes.
Yeah. And being able to provide one, fitness, and two, this type of fitness to people virtually just showed in so many more ways what those barriers were for people, right? It could be accessibility, transit, anxiety, mental health, like home conditions, like they have kids and they can't leave. Like, there are so many reasons that it makes it hard for people to get out to a gym. So to know that they can turn it on in their living room, even if their kids are running around, that it's there for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the people that are coming to you, the people that are on the journey, I mean, I know a few of them because I've met them along the way in these last couple of years, but I mean, what's the feedback? What's their journey? What makes this different? Like, I mean, there are some different, influencers that are doing body positive stuff that they can just watch stuff for free online. Like, why you?
We are different in the sense that we really thrive on community. We have different arms of the business that are social groups on Facebook, and a run club, and a BOPO social where there's a book club, and a stitch and bitch, and all these things to just kind of bring people together. People are looking for that community now. And generally in a gym, that doesn't happen. Now, if it was my gym, it would happen. But like, people aren't going to the gym so much to like make friends, right? And it's a bunch of like-minded people that are all just kind of like on the same wavelength, I would say, that are meeting each other. And then with the instructors, like, we get to know you as well in the classes. Like, I want to know how that felt and what didn't feel good, and what are your barriers, and what are you looking for, and what are you trying to achieve? Like, we really try to get to know people, even though it's a group setting. Whereas a lot of fitness classes, especially the virtual ones now, it's just like, you're there, I'm an instructor, I'm teaching a class, bye. Like, and that's it, right? Where we really like try to connect and care about the people that are with us. And I think that makes a big difference, because people feel like they can talk to you and you help them on this journey rather than just teach a fitness class, make them sweat, and then see you next time.
I think especially in this space, we're talking about body positivity or health at every size, or, I talk about intuitive eating, and it's so radically different from what we see in our day-to-day lives and what we're constantly being bombarded with, right? Whether it's through, I mean, social media feeds we can curate to a degree, although I have small rants on that one.
Yeah.
And TV, like, really, unless you just don't want to watch TV, you can't escape a lot of the crap,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and it's funny because I do say sometimes it's like I'm so surrounded by my community and people that are like-minded, and that you're not gonna come to our book club and someone's gonna talk about their weight loss or what diet they're doing or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like, I'm so surrounded by that, which is what I wanna be surrounded by now, but when you step outside of it, like, you go to a family Christmas party, not that that's happened in 2 years, but you realize that not everybody else is there, and you
yes,
hear people talking about this stuff, and you're like, "Oh, I don't wanna hear about that," you know?
mm,
And for our clients, yeah, it's a safe space where they can come and they're not gonna hear somebody talking about their body or how their body has changed or stuff like that. It's really harmful, and it's really harmful for a lot of people, and we don't know it.
yeah,
You don't know so and so has what they've gone through, right? And what their challenges are. And it's extremely harmful to people to hear that stuff.
yeah, yeah. And again, we talked earlier about the normalization of behaviors, right? And
Yeah.
it is. I mean, you're right. I haven't stood in someone's kitchen at a birthday party or an event in a long time, but
Yeah.
that's just the conversation, right?
Mhm.
It's perfectly acceptable, like, to look at what someone's eating and make a note, right?
Yeah.
Verbally of, "Oh, you're being so good," or, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it triggers all of this stuff.
So harmful. That's what happened to me. Like, if at some point in my disordered relationship with food and exercise, somebody said to me, I don't think that's normal, then I would have thought about it sooner. But it was, wow, you're so dedicated. I wish I had your motivation.
Yes.
can you give me a diet plan? Like, I want to do that. And even now, Facebook memories are like my because they come up right 10 years ago on this day, and it will be like some picture of me and then all these comments. Wow, you look so good. What are you doing? Da, da, da. Meanwhile, I was throwing up,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to be so careful
Yeah.
mentioning things like that around people, and people don't think about it because it's so normal.
Absolutely. And it's, I don't know if you, oh, Lexi and Katie Kite, I wanna say, More Than a Body is their book. I don't know if
Okay.
you've read it yet, but it is a worthy read.
Right.
And they just talk about how we have been so socialized, that our looks are the single most important thing. And then we can
Right.
have other attributes, but unless we also have the looks, it doesn't really count, you know?
Right. Yep. Yep.
Um, and just how deeply ingrained that is. And as you start to see and learn about it, then you start to look around and go, yeah, there it is again and
Yeah.
again and again. Shoot, how many times have I said that? Shoot, right?
Yeah.
And away we go.
And even like stepping away from the fitness part of it, it wasn't just that. It was I had always had to have my hair dyed. I always had hair extensions. I always had eyelash extensions. I had a fake tan. I had breast implants. I would never go anywhere without makeup. If I had to do an interview like this, I would have gotten ready for an hour beforehand so that I looked a certain way,
Yeah,
right? Taking away like I shaved my hair, I shaved my head right off. I stopped wearing makeup. I got rid of my implants. Like, I did all of that in like 1 year. And it was so freeing to just be like, this is me as a natural person. And I don't need to look a certain way to be presentable to you or to be smart or to be a good friend or a good wife, right? Like,
yeah.
to strip all that away has been so freeing
Mhm.
and like literally freeing. It frees up a lot of your time when you're not, trying to present yourself all the time.
Abs
And I don't know if anybody has a problem with that, but if somebody asked me to go out for dinner right now, I would look like this. Like, I can't be bothered with any of that beauty industry stuff anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's all so deeply interwoven, isn't it? I know, like, I mean, I mostly work with people who are struggling with their food, right?
Yeah.
And body image invariably, I mean, I can't think of an exception where body image wasn't the catalyst, right? And
Right.
I've said many, many times when I've done presentations, I think before we teach anyone about nutrition, we need to teach them about body image and about body acceptance and
Yeah.
worthiness and all of this before we start talking about food.
Yeah.
But it's really about health. So anyways, whole other
Yeah.
rant for a whole other day. But
Yeah.
for me, coming back to fitness was the hardest thing. I grew up being very active and athletic and involved in a lot of different sports. And then probably somewhere around university, it started to become like working out in order to burn the
Right.
calories, look the bit, whatever that was, right? And so trying to come back to exercise it was harder than healing my relationship with food.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is because services like yours were not available.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah, when I was going through that, I literally didn't work out at all for maybe close to 3 years,
yeah,
2.5, 3 years. I did not work out because every time I tried,
mm,
I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna start doing something again." As soon as I did a workout, I was like, "Okay, I need to do that 4 times a week. Why haven't I been doing that? I wonder how many calories I burnt." Da, 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 da. Like my head would just start. And I'm like, "Okay, no, you need to step away from that again. You're not
yep,
ready."
not ready. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very similar. I could be active in terms of, we'd ski or we'd whatever,
Mhm.
but to exercise on purpose.
Right.
Um, and it wasn't really until I threw my back out and needed to do some on purpose exercises and
Right.
stretches
Right.
that, it was like, okay, well, now how do I do this? Right. But
Right.
even with all of that, I mean, I talked to Louise Green, I don't know how many years ago now. And she's done some great stuff. But again, she was like the only one, or it seemed like she was the only one.
Yeah.
But then once you get into this, there are definitely certainly yoga. I think I've found a
Yeah.
lot more, but when it comes to actual fitness, really truly safe places. And thank you for inviting me to some of your classes because I can say with confidence it really is a safe place. And everyone was. We just all showed up as we were, and pets included. Just really liked hanging out on the mat,
Yeah.
and it was nice and it was safe and it felt good. There was absolutely no conversation about what my body looked like or what it was supposed to look like by doing an exercise. And I think those are some of those subtle things that we don't necessarily notice when maybe someone isn't outright talking about doing it to
Yeah.
lose weight, but they are talking about toning and trimming, and it's about
Or even like
aesthetics.
or even like the push to go hard.
Right.
I think is a big thing that's a mistake in the fitness industry is like when instructors say like don't stop, 15 seconds left, give it all you got. Stuff like that is like you actually don't have to give it all you've got. Like none of us should be doing that,
Yeah.
right? Um I feel like it should feel good. You should feel your muscles, but you shouldn't feel pain. You shouldn't feel it in your joints. Let's figure out a way to not feel it in your joints and to feel it in the right spot. And you should be able to breathe. I remind people all the time like, if you can't breathe, let's take it down a notch. Maybe
Yeah.
don't do the burpees. I don't think people should feel like they can't catch their breath and they're going to be sick and so many people think fitness is that like push it. And why is it why would it ever have to be that? You do not have to do that to move your body in a way that's going to benefit your body.
I've contemplated that because I do wonder, like, for so many people, exercise is a punishment, right? Like, it's about burning those calories and like getting your body back.
Right.
Those kinds of that kind of dialogue where we're forcing and I
Right.
don't know, it's violent, right? It's very abusive kind of languaging. But I think if that's the purpose of our exercise, to manipulate our body, to suppress our weight, to do these things, then there is like that angry punishment kind of feel to it. And I don't know if that just became the thing. Like, same, you know, like the pride and righteousness that comes from, like, I remember when I was off sugar because I was in Overeaters Anonymous because I was sure I was a food addict. It had to be the answer, right? And gosh, I was so much better than everybody else because I didn't
Right.
have to eat that. Like, I was free from that, right? But that was the only way, like, that righteousness was a replacement for the freedom that I have now, which is I don't have to eat it, but I can if I want to, right? It's just this, you know, like you could get dressed up to go out for dinner if you wanted to,
Right. Yeah.
but you don't feel like you have to in order to, you know, like it's different, right? Um, Someone posted, oh, it was, you know, intuitive eaters know the difference between hiding food um, because of shame and hiding food to make sure there's some left so your kids don't eat it all.
Yeah.
What's behind the behavior makes a really big difference.
Really big difference. Yeah. And a good example of that, and I joke about this with our run club, especially, is that back in the day, I listened to such aggressive, angry music when I worked out and when I would run. It was like heavy, right? Whether it was like rock or rap, it was angry. Now I'm like out for a run listening to like Elton John and like really nice. Like I could do a full workout to like slow music because it's not about that like, that aggression anymore.
You don't have to tap into that to be able
Exactly.
to
To
do
be
it.
able to do things. Yeah. And it's just like I remember when I started the run club last January and I made my first playlist and it's called Run Slow. And it's just all this like nice, calm music. And I was like, wow, this is such a different experience. And
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. And I'm not gassed out, but I'm running.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a whole different mindset. And it's a great one to be at.
It's lovely.
Mhm.
So how do you, like, let's say someone comes to you and they say, okay, Jenna, me and exercise have never been friends. And maybe it's along the lines of your history, or maybe it's along the lines, the other kind of history that I hear is, you know, they were never athletic. They were always picked last. They were forced to move to burn the calories, like that kind of relationship. Where do they start? Like, what's the first step? Are there certain classes that are better than others? Are there certain things they should do before they even show up for a class? How do you guide them?
Yeah, so if someone's like brand new to it and they don't know what's for them, I say try. We have so many different classes. Try each one once and you'll know what feels good. Or you were like, couldn't wait for it to end. Or you were like, oh my God, I can't believe it's over. Like I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Try them all. Not everything is for everybody. Some people love Zumba, like just love it, love dancing, love having the music going. And others are like, no, I'm tripping over my feet. I get frustrated. Not for me.
Yeah.
Right. It depends what you like. Some people love boxing, right? Some people love stretch and mobility. Some people love restorative yoga. None of them is better than the next, right? If I was to pick one type of movement, if somebody was only allowed to do one type of movement for the rest of their life, I would say it should be mobility. Mobility is the most important thing that we can train because it is going to serve you for the rest of your life. Moving your joints and your muscles through their full ranges of motion on a regular basis is the best thing you can do for yourself, right? You have to think about as we age, like, what do you want to be able to do? Zumba or get up off your chair? Like, doesn't mean don't do Zumba, but if you had one thing to do, it would be mobility. That being said, we have such a wide variety of classes that I feel like everybody can kind of find their thing. I do not think anybody should do something they don't enjoy because they think it is faster or harder or anything like that. And one thing I teach in the mobility class is like literally laying on the floor and then coming to standing and then laying on the floor the other way. So like stomach up, back, up. And a lot of people have a really hard time with that. So there are a lot of ways that you can practice it. But if you were to lay down on the floor every day and get up for the rest of your life, then when you're 75 and you have an accident, you fall, you will probably know how to get up because you did it yesterday, you know?
Right.
So it's simple things like that, like functional training, things that are going to serve you in real life that are the most important.
Yeah, as I get older and my body, I feel things differently
Mhm.
than I used to.
Yeah.
And that was something as I was coming back to things that I realized that mobility was the number one thing I could do. And then stretching came second and then strengthening. And that was a big aha for me. But I'm curious how you advise others or how you yourself handle that voice that goes, but that's not really exercise.
Yeah, I actually think I think I might have an IGTV about that where explaining why working through a mobility session is better for you than a weight training session because you are doing things that your body needs to be able to do. And sometimes slowing things down and like concentrating on like, can I move my shoulder blade? Is my back, like, can I feel my back muscles activating? A lot of people are like, have no idea what you're talking about. Can I feel it activating? So learning those things and then being able to like engage without being in like this big sweat and having your heart rate through the roof is so much better for your well-being, right? And just teaching people that, just, and I have clients that I have to work with and I'm in charge in a sense where I'm like, listen, you are going to do the mobility class twice a week and nothing else, nothing. You can go for a walk, you can take your dog for a walk, you can play with your kids, but let's work on doing the mobility class twice a week for your first 8 weeks, getting back into movement and letting that be it, and teaching them that that's okay.
Love it.
Right? Some people need that extra guidance and somebody that's going to stand with them and just let them know that it's okay that this is all you're doing. And then just, going over all the reasons why it's so good for you. And people are very surprised sometimes they do a mobility class for the first time and they're like, "Wow, I felt everything the next day. My abs, my legs, my back, all my muscles, I could feel them, but it wasn't like I'm so sore I can't walk down the stairs, you know?" And it really is a nice feeling to connect mentally to your body. And then once you get that under your belt, bringing that slowly into other workouts so that you know what you're doing and focusing on rather than just going hard.
Yes. I have an anterior instability. It was a skiing accident that
Right.
I jumped amazingly well, did not land very well. And I didn't do the proper recovery because I was a teenager and,
Yeah.
no one told me to go to physio or do any of the things. And
Yeah.
anyways, needless to say, part of coming back to fitness was a tricky thing of doing anything with my arms was leading to headaches and major issues. To say, I mean, the boxing class, I felt between my shoulder blades. I could
Mhm.
definitely, I was like, oh, okay, there's some, but like just awareness, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
after doing the lift class, I was concerned because we did a lot of stuff that was above, but you did it slowly and you
Mhm.
every time reminded me to activate certain muscles
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
And it was fine, right?
Yeah.
Like it was fine. I was like, "Oh, nice." 'Cause I was like, it felt good while I was doing it, but it usually does. It's the
Right.
after that I'm like,
Right.
"Shoot, I should not have done that." But it was really lovely. The mobility classes, that was the one I was most looking forward to just because 'cause I've had this relationship with mobility now of just really appreciating how much like I'm always in the same positions. Like I'm
Right.
here, I'm on the
Mhm.
couch, I'm
Mhm.
walking, I'm
Mhm.
cooking, but like that's all I do in my life, right?
Right.
So moving around was lovely. A way to wake up, but
It really gives people like chance to like explore their body, you know? It's like, "Oh, why does that feel tight, but that way it doesn't?" Like, what is that? It makes people like think when you're
yeah,
moving slowly like that, and it's a great way to connect to your body.
it's amazing.
Mhm.
So if you could tell everybody one thing, what would be your like one nugget for maybe it's something you've learned or I don't know, what's your one thing?
Just like life advice,
Yeah,
um, that
deep
you
thoughts.
are
Let's
you
go.
are you are not your body. And the people around us are not their body. So one, you can learn that about yourself, but you have to learn that about everybody. And we need to not judge people on whatever their circumstances with what you see on a person. It doesn't explain anything about who they are as a person, their lives, their abilities, their heart, their brain. We are so much more than that. And if everybody could think that way about themselves and everybody around us, the world would be a much better place.
Couldn't agree more. Awesome.
Yeah.
So Jenna was lovely enough to give us a one code. So if you'd like to try some classes, there is a discount. So we'll put that in the comments or in the whatever in the section, so people can check it out. And bodypositivefitness.ca is the website. And is that your handle?
Our handle on Instagram is bodypositivefitness_,
Okay.
because some unknown, unactive account has it without the underscore.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
that's how handles go. Perfect. So we
And
will
then Body Positive Fitness on Facebook.
on Facebook as well. Beautiful. Thank you for spending time with me. Like I said, I'm constantly trying to create this safe referral zone for people, right? Because as like people come to work with me and I know that there's something else they need, it can sometimes be really difficult to say, here, go and check this place out. Now that you are accessible to everyone, it certainly makes it a lot easier to say, hey, if you need a personal trainer or you need some classes or you need community, here's a place to go.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you for having me.